Welcome to your reset with Christiane Piano, where the purpose is to support you in releasing all that you are not, so the truth of who you really are can emerge. This is accomplished through working with the body-mind from an ontological perspective. We use various modalities to support you in supporting yourself exactly where you are, so that you may return to an experience of wholeness and ease, moment by moment. Deep reflection is one of the greatest tools through which to do this. To take a moment, to pause, assess, reflect, and literally and figuratively reset, come back to center, and move back into your one and precious life with increased clarity and purpose. Hello, this is Christiane Piano, and welcome back to your Reset Reflections. We've been in a bit of a pause over the summer months, and this week's reflection is a reflection on cadence. Now, what is cadence? Well, cadence is defined as the rhythmic flow of sound, the beat of rhythmic motion or activity. So if you were to apply this to your own life, you have a repeating rhythm, which you may be aware of or not, but it is there, running in the background all the time. So I invite you to pause for a moment and see if you can tap into it. Reflect on the rhythm of your life. What is it like? How does it feel? If you were to describe it, what words would you use? Now notice what it is that you focused on. As there are so many factors that influence the rhythm of our lives, as we do not live in isolation, take a moment to reflect upon that. And perhaps write down specific factors that influence your life rhythm. There is a distinction to be made here that you may not have thought of quite yet. There are inner rhythms, such as your heartbeat, flow of blood through your vessels, the sounds of your breath. There are what known as circadian rhythms, including animals, plants, and microorganisms. And in humans, nearly every tissue and organ has its own circadian rhythm. And collectively, they are tuned to the daily cycle of day and night. Circadian rhythms influence important functions in the human body, such as sleep patterns, body temperature, hormone secretion, and much, much more. So if you were to ask yourself the question, what is the natural rhythm of my body? What would your answer be? Your circadian rhythm is the pattern your body follows based on a 24-hour day. It's the name given to your body's internal clock. And this rhythm tells your body when to sleep and when to wake up. It also affects several other body processes like your hormones, digestion, and, as said earlier, body temperature. And then we have outer rhythms, such as nature, seasons, months, days, pace of life, your own personal gear settings, your famous to-do list, demands and stresses of life. Now that we have made that distinction between inner and outer rhythms, I invite you to move through the questions again and notice which are inner and which are outer rhythms. And which ones do you have agency over and which do you not? Get as specific as possible. The mind will want you to stay general. It may even perhaps tell you to skip this part. But I highly invite you to put this on pause and really reflect on these questions. Now, this episode happens to be released on the 2nd of September. The release of new episodes has been on pause since the 18th of July. You see, practicing the pause is a principle I not only invite all the people I work with to apply, it is something I put into practice myself. Taking a moment to pause provides each of us with the opportunity to be aware of subtleties and details that when we are in full throttle or even in the groove, in the quote-unquote usual, can easily be missed. So take a moment for yourself and reflect on what you have taken a pause from this summer. What have you stepped away from, either intentionally or not? Again, asking yourself these questions and taking a moment to write them down, or if you are in a place where you can't write them down, taking a mental note, will allow you to get a lot more out of this episode, just like every episode I release. I purposely and intentionally invite you to apply what I speak to in your own life. Granted, easier said than done, I realize, but a necessary component for anything that we want to actually have an impact in our lives, going beyond rational understanding and entering into our own lived experience. This is a big component of embodied learning practices. So, in preparing to sit down and create this conversation with you today, I personally have been experiencing the shifts that come with re-engaging with something that has been put on pause. Creating that pause was an essential, as stepping away from a practice like dropping a new episode every Monday since its inception last October has taken something. And so it got me to reflecting on, well, what should I speak to for the first episode after the pause? So here we are. Now, in the beginning of September, although the summer season does not complete until the 21st of September, we find ourselves moving back to old rhythms and pacings as vacations wind down, school starts back up, and people go back to work. So we are not only transitioning from a certain summer rhythm, we are also moving simultaneously into a transition of a literal season of fall. Now, if you have not yet listened to the reflection on summer, you may want to do that prior to continuing. But in any case, in that reflection, I spoke to the summer solstice and its reminder to us to turn inward and find the nourishment needed to grow and evolve. That is, the time to pause and wait for the energy planted in the spring to reach full bloom. Now, if the spring represents action, the summer represents patience. So how did you notice this showing up in your summer months? Now, if you take a moment to reflect on your experience of the not yet finished summer season, what is in your awareness? From the most subtle of details to overarching larger themes. Did you notice a natural shift in rhythms? Or was it the same old, same old? Or something in between? If you were to describe your lived experience, what would that sound like? Now, we are moving towards fall, and you are returning to old rhythms and managing what a fall season looks like for you. What comes up for you as you think about that? Do you notice any hesitancy or resistance, perhaps? Are you looking forward to diving back in? Are you ready to go back to your everyday routines? Is there something about the idea of returning bringing up any stuckness, a felt experience, or a thought? If something like that is present for you, well then you have a huge opportunity, huge possibility lying in front of you. And you can embrace it or pretend it's not there. And that is obviously, totally and completely your choice. So, what is this opportunity I am speaking to? Well, it is to take a look at anything you are challenged by, and actually through looking at it, simply acknowledging its presence and the felt experience that goes with it. That is the first and most vital step in body-mind well-being. Not only looking at what is flowing in your life, but also where things are not. It takes a lot of energy for your body-mind to keep stuckness in place. So to gift yourself the freedom that comes with acknowledgement, without judgment, is quite frankly liberating. Once you have identified the quote-unquote it of the stuckness, then you can begin to explore possible options for what may be invited to shift. You see, you have a cadence in your life. You have a flow and rhythm. The timing and spacing at which events and actions happen. Many people today speak about not having room to breathe, and that would indicate no space. Some people sense like they can never catch up, like there is always something else, and it's never ending. And yet some people are stuck in inaction, and others get caught in constant action. Wherever you are on the spectrum, if you would be willing to look at it and ask yourself, does this still work for me? Is this something that aligns with how I have evolved into today? If the answer is no, then the fun begins. You have options. And just because you explore the options does not mean you will take action. So no pressure. An overriding question to be with as you observe the cadence of your life and the inner and outer cadences and what are influencing those rhythms. The question to ask yourself is the present cadence life-giving or is it exhausting? We are now moving towards the later part of 2024. And as of September 2nd, the day this episode drops, well then, there are 120 days until the end of the year, 2024. So as you move back into your routine, some will call it a daily grind. Some refer to this moment of the year as hopping back in the saddle. Whichever way you would describe it, how does that reflect your relationship to the cadence of your life? The sounds and rhythms, are they steady? Are they on overdrive? Are they deactivated completely? Are they steady, easeful, and smooth? Wherever you are, where could you call forth more balance? In your reflections during the summer months, what did you discover or come to realize? With so much space available, how did you grow? What shifted in your viewpoint, your perspective? How can you now use this as fertilizer for the next season of the year? A reflection on the fall season will be a later episode, so I will not speak to that directly at this moment, as we are living in a moment of transitioning our rhythms, pacing, and notice the impact of our inner experience and those of the people we share our lives with. The question is, will you make use of this opportunity? It is a beautiful and life-giving opportunity. May you make use of this precious moment and not let it just pass you by. I do hope that you found this reflection on cadence supportive. If there's someone you think it would be supportive of, please feel to share it, pass it on, and feel free to hit like or follow so more people will gain access to these reflections. I invite you to join me for the brand new 5-week online series, Intertwine. It begins Sunday, September 29th at 5 Central European Standard Time. Knowledge is power, and as you uncover how the nervous system and immune system are interconnected, you will be preparing your body-mind for the season of the year where the days get shorter and we are exposed to less sunlight. Stress levels tend to increase, and our nervous system and immune system take quite a beating. In this series, you will learn how to support your body-mind in new ways to enable you to ride this wave of the coming months with greater ease, vitality, and health. For more information, please go to my website, www.christianpiano.com. And if you have questions, feel free to send me an email at growth@christianpiano.com or schedule a free 15-minute consult, and I can answer any questions one-to-one.